Hello and welcome to Bodyweight Calisthenics Home, a YouTube channel dedicated to my personal bodyweight calisthenics journey. And this, as I'm recording this, is day one of week one. I haven't done an exercise yet, but I have done quite a lot of research. And incidentally, it's November 2022. So if you're not watching this in November 2022, it could be that several weeks and months have passed. So go over to my channel to see how I'm getting on. But if you want to join me on this new bodyweight calisthenics journey, please do subscribe and hit the notifications bell. One of the first things I did when I'd done all my research was put together a list of 10 simple rules for beginners, and those are the rules which are going to guide me, and I've shared them in a video, and you can find that video on my channel, and the thumbnail looks a little bit like that. And if you do find it, I hope you find it useful. And incidentally, whilst I'm pointing at this space here, you will see several little videos appearing here on the left of me. This is my homemade home-based calisthenics gym. I've got a dipping bar, an incline press-up bar, and I've got a chin-up bar here. I've also got a box here for doing squats. And if you want to see a guided tour of my homemade home-based gym, again, there's a video on my channel. It looks a bit like this here, this thumbnail here. One of my 10 rules, the first principle in fact, is that which can be measured can be managed. It's important that you measure yourself at the start, and then as you go along, and you can review those measurements, and hopefully if you're making progress, they will be motivational. So in this video, I'm going to take my initial day one measurements and I'm going to share them with you, and they're going to be written on this board to my right behind me. Now these measurements which I've decided to take are personal to me. They are relevant to the things I want to change about my body. So for example, I've got my chest. I've got two measurements for my chest. One is just under my armpits and one is where my nipples are. Middle, which is the narrowest bit here. The belly, which is here where my belly button is, and my hips, which is about 4 inches below my belly. Now these are the ones that I specifically want to change. I want to make the chest bigger. I want to make my middle narrower. I want to make my belly smaller. I've also got shoulders. I'd like to make my shoulders bigger. Biceps, glutes, I'd like them to be bigger, and my thighs. I've also bought some body scales which measure my body composition. They tell me how much body weight I've got and how much body fat and what percentages I've got. So I've also got my weight, my body fat, my visceral body fat, and my muscle mass here. And the other thing that app tells me is my body age, and I can tell you what that is in a minute. So in this video, I'm going to take all these measurements, and these will be my starting point, because that which can be measured can be managed. So let's get started with the chest measurements. And I must warn you, I'm going to have to take my top off to do this. So there's a public health warning. And there's several reasons why I've suddenly decided to embark on a muscle mass resistance type routine. And you can find them in a video on my channel called What Are My Whys? And those are all about my motivations, and you might find that helpful in terms of your motivation. But anyway, this video is about taking measurements. I've warmed the tape measure up. Here it is in my pocket. And the first one I'm going to do is the two measurements for my chest. The first one being here, around where my nipples are. That is 37 inches. And right up here, where my armpits are, when I relax and look down, it's 39.5 inches. So I'm going to write those two measurements on my board. 37, 39.5. Left a little bit of space to the right of the numbers there, so that I can update them in about a month's time when I've done quite a bit of exercise. So there's my chest. Now let's get this middle measurement here, which again is the narrowest one, about here. So let's just find that with this tape measure. Surprising how quickly these tape measures cool down. That's coming in at 34 inches. Now for the belly button one, now this is the thing really that I would love to lose, this flabby bit here. I don't know if you can see this on the camera. And there's no question about the fact that that is body fat, it's flab. So how do you measure flab? Well, it's a good question. I guess the only thing I can do really is see how much you can pinch, and I can probably pinch 3 or 4 inches there at the moment, and it feels quite flabby. So for the record, I'll get some video of that and we can see how it changes as I embark on this bodyweight calisthenics journey. But anyway, for now, let's also take a measurement. The biggest point around my belly is 36.5 inches. My belly is not much smaller than my chest, which is a bit of embarrassment, source of embarrassment for me, but we're about to change it. So let's write 36.5 on there. And I think at my age, it's this fat, this visceral body fat here, which is dangerous. So I'm going to try and lose that, which is going to be a challenge because you don't do a bodybuilding weight gain exercise on a calorie deficit. That's one of the principles in those 10 rules. So I've got to find a way of balancing the diet and the calorie surplus with protein. Now let's get this hip measurement here, which is 4 inches below the belly button. I'm just going to lower them a tiny bit. 35.25. Now the thing about taking measurements, it's important to be consistent every day. Now I can't take my own shoulder measurement, so I've got someone to help me do that earlier. And I've written down on a piece of paper. I also got someone to measure my 2 bicep measurements. I'm going to do a bicep measurement at rest and a bicep measurement when it's tensed up like a muscle. So I've written those down on this piece of paper, and I will now transfer those measurements over to here. The measurement at my shoulder here is currently 45.5 inches. Biceps at rest is 12 inches. And when tensed up like a gun, call it guns, I've actually written guns there, it's 12.5. The glutes measurement, that's the measurement around my bum. I'm going to go off camera to do that. You'll have to take my word for it because I'm not showing my bum. The biggest measurement around my glutes is 37.25 inches. Thighs, the thigh measurement is going to be done sitting down on this. So I've taken a measurement 9 inches up from my knee, and it's 18.5 inches. The weight, as I've already mentioned, I have got some body weight, body composition scales, and the weight is on an app, so I will go ahead now and fill that information in. I've also got my body fat, my visceral body fat, which is this fat around here, and my muscle mass. And then there we've got the body age. Now I'm very lucky because I'm actually 55 years old, but the app for the scales is telling me that I've currently got a body age 51. So my body is 4 years younger than my real age, and this is a combination, it's a factor of all this data here. So there we go. All my starting measurements, all based around the things that I personally want to change. I'm going to set some smart objectives. I'd like to increase my chest by 1 or 2 inches by Christmas. I'd like to reduce my belly by a couple of inches. Ideally, I'd like to go from that shape where my body is 2 parallel lines to that shape where my shoulders and chest are bigger than my waist, and never actually had that. So this will be a test to see if my body actually does respond to this bodyweight calisthenics journey that I'm on. So there we are, my starting measurements. I hope you found that interesting and useful. Feel free to copy those or add your own and comment below if you've got any hints or tips or advice for me, because I'm a beginner on this journey. And please do join me on this journey by hitting the subscribe and notifications bell. Comment below, I'd love to hear from you. And the next video you're going to see from me is me actually doing my full body workout, which is based on research, and I'll see you soon for that video.